welcome back to the Citizen channel. We're all staying safe and well. We have a History Boys feature today. I'm going to take you back to 1996. I'm going to take you back to 23rd of March 1996 and the Boleyn ground, or Upton Park as we commonly knew it, but obviously it was also known as the Boleyn ground in Upton Park. If you look at the Hammers programme, certainly the 1996 one, it actually says that. It actually has the Boleyn ground and then further down Upton Park. So yeah, I always used to call it Upton Park. I thought this Boleyn ground was quite a newish thing, but obviously not. So we're going to go over there. West Ham versus Manchester City, 23rd of March 1996. Yeah, not the greatest year for City, was it, 1996? If you don't know, you'll find out a little bit more today on that, if you're not too sure. Of course, Alan Ball was in charge. We were struggling just a little bit on the 23rd of March. We were 15th placed in the division, so not on death row yet, but getting very close to it. And we were visiting Harry Redknapp'S. Yeah, Harry Redknapp'S West Ham with Frank Lampard as his sidekick as well. More on his son in a minute. Yeah, more comfortable 11th place, the Hammers, so they were doing all right. They were okay. And the problem with City was we started that season very poorly. Had a bit of an upturn. In November, winning 4 out of 5 games. So it all seemed okay. But then it all got a little bit iffy again. And just before this, we had that home win against Southampton, which lifted the spirit slightly. That kinky goal, of course, in that one. So that had eased our woes just a little bit. But that was only our second win in the last 10 league games as the sort of ball revolution spluttered along, to say the least. Away from football, before we talk about the game, 20th of March, yeah, the BSC. Remember the BSC? Yeah, the BSC outbreak. Secretary of State for Health Stephen Durrell announces a link between a potentially fatal variant, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, there you go, and the eating of beef infected with bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or something like that. Encephalopathy, I don't know. Forgive me, guys. Anyway, bad cow's disease, we knew it as at the time, that's for sure. Yeah, that was the 20th of March, and by the 22nd of March, yeah, the EU had stopped all exports of British beef. Didn't mess about, did they? Never liked us anyway, did they? So they stopped all exports of British beef because of this mad cow disease, or BSE crisis, as we call it. Yeah, 24th of March, a couple of ITV. You like your ITV Coronation Street, like a bit of curry. I used to in the old days, not particularly now. Yeah, 24th of March, ITV airs Coronation Street, The Cruise. Yeah, something which proves to be very controversial at the time. I did have a video shop in this time in 1996. It actually been released on VHS a few months early to celebrate the show's 35th anniversary. People were a bit uptight that it was bought it on VHS, so they got to watch it on TV. Well, you know, that's how it is. That's how they make money. Also, Coronation Link, yeah, Cadbury. On the 26th of March, Cadbury became the first company to sponsor Coronation Street. I didn't realise it was that long ago. I thought it was fairly new when they did it. They signed a deal with Granada Television, of course, for that. Singles chart, well, you've got to Take That. We're top of the singles chart. We're in the third and final week with How Deep Is Your Love. So they were number 1 in the singles chart. And yes, Celine Dion, Falling Into You, just knocked Oasis. Oasis's What's the Story Morning Glory off top spot in the album charts. It's actually been at number 1 for 10 of the last 11 weeks, so it was doing pretty well. So Celine Dion come along and knocked that off. Independence Day was the highest grossing film. Great film, I love that film, in 1996. And of course, if you stuck a pound in your pocket and left it there and hung it in the cupboard and forgot all about it, it'd be worth £2 today. So it'd be double. It doubled from 1996 to 2022. I'm recording this May 2022. So if you stuck a pound in the old piggy bank, it'd be worth £2. Probably best to spend it when it's probably not worth it, was it, guys? Right, back to football. Yeah, the Hammer programme, that's what it was called. The Hammer programme cost £1.50 for 48 pages. The ground itself, yeah, the Bobby Moore stand was reasonably new, had been built in 1993, and the newest stand was aptly named the Centenary Stand, which had just been opened the previous season. Harry Redknapp himself was still confident, talking in his programme notes of a top 10 finish for the EastEnders, and they finally received a work permit for the player Dumitrescu, who'd been around, but he'd obviously waiting for a work permit to play for them, who'd made his debut a couple of games earlier. The game at Main Road previously on New Year's Day was a welcome, at the time, 2-1 win for City with a Quinn brace. And Dowie, yeah, he was a bit of a nuisance in this game. He's going to be a nuisance in this game, scoring West Ham's consolation. Looks a flipping good player. I don't ever remember him being that good, but it certainly looked good in this game. West Ham's form coming into this was a bit more consistent than ours. They'd won 6, drawn 1 and lost only 2 of the last 9 games. Hence Harry Redknapp's hopes of a top 10 finish. Attendance on the day was 24,017. I did read a thing on West Ham Till I Die, and I got a German fan who, it was his very first game. It was interesting. I was just reading about his thoughts. It's quite interesting. I watched the game back on YouTube. I'll stick links on the screen and try and put them in the comments. But he was talking about the game and the atmosphere and stuff. And obviously, there's about 20 minutes highlights. I wasn't there for that game. If you were there, let me know. But it was very quiet. I don't know where this German guy's talking about. They never stopped singing "We're Forever Blowing Bubbles," but it was just, and even the commentator said it was lackluster when it was sung. So it's amazing how people's views of games and where they've been sort of don't actually sort of match what actually happened, because as I say, in these highlights, you very rarely heard the West Ham fans apart from they cheered when they scored. So it's odd, isn't it? Perceptions, isn't it? What people have of places if they love it. The old perceptions of like Main Road, how it was always rocking, and it certainly wasn't. And the Kipax wasn't always rocking, even though people sort of think it did. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, attendance 24,017. The referee was Keith Cooper. Yeah, he'd been quite self-like in his younger days, but by this stage, as we were getting on a bit, he made Jonathan Moss look a bit self-like. In all fairness, he was carrying a bit of weight, old Keith Cooper from Pontypridd, I think, a Welsh referee. And the lineups that day: West Ham, Miklosko, Bilic, Breaker, Dix, Reaper, Rowland, Ian Bishop, of course, ex-City, Williamson, Michael Hughes, ex-City as well, and they both had quite good games from bits of games I saw or watched on highlights. Dowie, Dumitrescu, and the subs were Celia, goalkeeper, Danny Cavallo, and Potts. City, well, we had the wonderful German goalkeeper Ike Immel in goal. Well, I say it a bit sarcastically, of course. Brightwell, Fronchek, Curl, Simmons, Brown, Clough, Kinkladze, Lomas, Somerby, and Rossler. Not a bad team. And Quinn was on the bench, along with Scott Hiley and Matt Serelli. Matt Serelli sounds like a pizza topping, doesn't it? The pitch was a bit rough, pitch was a bit patchy. It did deteriorate as the play went on. It was sort of playable, but you certainly couldn't be playing the football we play in these days on it, that's for sure. So here's the match report, looking back at the highlights of the game. The first fans I heard singing were actually the City fans singing "City, we're from Manchester City," which is something we don't sing now, that's for sure, to the Uwe Rossler tune, of course. And we were all behind the chicken run was under the cameras. All the City fans were to the right-hand side of the stand, to the right of the cameras. It was a fairly even start to the game, but it was Ian Dowie who put West Ham ahead just after the 20-minute mark, 21 minutes. After a corner was cleared and then Dowie headed home the resultant header, Emil got he got a hand to it, but he sort of helped it into net. He couldn't stop it. And the corner itself had come from a dodgy free kick had been awarded to West Ham, in the centre circle for a foul on Dowie. There's nothing. Even the commentator wondered why it was a foul, but hey, nothing changes, it seems, does it? So as I say, it wasn't direct from that, but obviously it had an influence eventually on the goal. We did go a bit quiet. We struggled a little bit to get back in it. But when we did get back into it, a good move led to Fronchek, who pulled the ball back for Rossler, who miscued his shot. He hit against his own heel. He didn't have the greatest game, Uwe, in this one. And his sort of side foot shot hit his other leg. He's sort of ballooned up in the air, and it was cleared. So, wasn't the most lethal finishing from Uwe, that's for sure. We began to get a bit more control after that. A jinking run by Kinky ended with him being fouled in the box, and a penalty was given, yes, and like now, up stepped Keith Curl. I've seen him score a few penalties. Up stepped Keith Curl. It wasn't the greatest penalty. He put it to the goalkeeper's right, but not far enough. It was a nice height, and the goalie managed to. He didn't just palm it out. He clung on to it as well, the goalkeeper. So chance to get back into the game, totally missed by Keith Curl. So we went in at half-time, only 1-0 down, so salvageable. No doubt, but Alan Ball would galvanise the team with his World Cup winning tails at half-time to get us into that second half. And then the start of the second half, Dowie went close again. Say, he'd been having a good game that we saw. But at the other end, Rosler missed another one. As I say, didn't have to, he got took off later for Quinny to come on. But so it went through the defender. So I think Rosler was caught out a little bit. And you think it sort of fell for him. And he just sort of was in front of it rather than behind it. And he just totally missed the ball completely. Didn't even make contact with it that time. So, not his greatest day. But West Ham slowly took control of the game after a succession of corners, a Dowie glancing header at the near post. Bit Rodri-like. We just had a recent game where Rodri scored a little flashing header against Newcastle. A bit like that, where he, obviously, depending on you're watching this, you might not remember, but where he sort of glanced the header to make it 2-0 from a Michael Hughes corner. That was 54 minutes. And we had the substitutions. Niall Quinn came on and Scott Hiley came on. A player you forget about, Scott Hiley. They came on. Lomas got a booking, which is to have a bad effects in a little moment. Lomas got a booking for sliding in on Ian Bishop. West Ham cleared off the line twice and we had our best opportunity in the space of a few seconds as we tried to get back into it. But unfortunately, we did mention Lomas, didn't we? A little while later, a Lomas tackle on Dix a little bit late again. And Lomas, he sort of saw the referee go into his pocket. So he started walking off without looking back. He was straight down into the dressing room. Lomas got sent off. So not great. So 10 men. Obviously 2-0 down, but it inspired City on 75 minutes. The West Ham keeper failed to hold a Scott Hiley shot, and Quinn from distance, and Quinn just bundled it over the line for 2-1, and our tails were up then. We had a chance, but unfortunately it didn't last too long. In 83 minutes, a Dix drive from 25 yards beat Immel. Looks as though Immel had no chance. It looked like a cracking drive from Dix, and West Ham, I believe he did one or two of those in time, and West Ham regained their 2-goal margin to make it 3-1. And just to round it off on 84 minutes, it was, for West Ham anyway, it was a 4-1 as Portuguese youngster Danny, looked a bit like a young film star with his coiffured hair, etc. He latched onto a superb Ian Bishop ball and beat the defender to nutmeg Immel at the near post, put it through his legs. So 4-1, and it was almost 5 as a Michael Hughes effort struck the post, but the ref actually had his whistle in his mouth just as the Quinn collected the ball on the edge of the box and superbly turned just one touch and placed a left foot shot right into the far top corner. So another consolation for City, 4-2. So at least they made the scoreline look a little bit better. So that was it. West Ham 4, Manchester City 2. Alan Ball in his programme notes said we were sort of unlucky. We had a lot of the ball, and there were times, but I mean, West Ham, as I said, Dowie leading the line, played very, very well. Probably deserved it overall on the day. West Ham would only themselves take another 6 points from the remaining 6 games, so it wasn't great, but it was enough actually for them to get a mid-table finish in 10th. Their attendance that season, their average attendance was 22,340, so a little bit down on what they got for this game. And that was their best league position, 10th, best league position for 10 years. Ali Redknapp, of course, had invested heavily pre-season and they had a hope for a European spot, so it was a bit disappointing. But on the positive side, they'd seen the debut of 2 young teenage players. I don't know what happened to these 2 guys. One was Rio Ferdinand and one was Frank Lampard, so I wonder what happened to them 2. But that's West Ham saw their debuts. For us, of course, for City, with 6 to play, it left us precariously hovering above the relegation zone, and with United and Liverpool amongst the last 6 games to play. Premiership survival, I thought we all thought at the time, looked on the knife edge, but we had points in the bank. We could probably still do it. Unfortunately, we didn't. We never did quite recover. And despite winning 2 and drawing one of our last 3 games, it was pretty much over them. I mean, obviously the damage was done by the time we played Liverpool in that farce of a game at Main Road, which is another story in itself, isn't it, guys? If you were there, you'll know what I mean. And it meant that Alan World Cup winner Ball had taken us down. So well done, Alan. Great stuff, mate. So yeah, our average attendance that season, actually, if you look at West Ham's was 22 plus, wasn't it? Ours was 27,869. So not too bad considering. Well, there you go. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, this little look back, this History Boys feature, going back to the 23rd of March 1996, Upton Park, or the Boleyn Ground, whichever you wanted to call it. Yeah, West Ham 4, Manchester City 2. Let me know. Let me know if you were there. What do you think? There's a few. I saw a few faces. I couldn't recognise any of the guys, but if you watch the highlights on YouTube and you recognise yourself, just let me know how you went on. Was it okay? Was the West Ham fans all right? I'll say we have a good thing with them now, don't we? Perhaps not so much back in '96, but let me know. Let me know. It'd be great to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please, until we meet again, I only ask one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching.